What's going on, guys? It's boy Yoshi Mitsukata coming back at you with another video. So this time we're gonna change it up. I'm kind of getting a little burnt out on Let's Plays, even though I just did my Dragon Age playthrough. I figured we'd change it up with doing something a little bit different. So Instagram kind of recommends me these sometimes. Sometimes it's like a budget thing where I have to like build a budget of games. But this time it's asking what Nintendo 64's best year was. Now, as somebody who primarily grew up in this era, I feel like I can kind of speak to this sort of post quite a bit, just because I've played most, if not at least seen all of these games before. So I figured it'd be kind of fun to go through this and just kind of tell me what your opinions are. Are we the same? Do you think one era is better than the other? I'm also going to talk about games individually that I particularly had a really good time with or had an impact on me. And then we'll just kind of go from there and then, just kind of see where it takes us. So, starting off, I'm going to read off all the games, and then we'll go into the discussion after that. So, in 96, we've got, and that's 1996, folks. I think I was 3 years old around this time. So, I grew up 96, I was 3, then 4, 5, 6, 7. So up until I was about 8 or 9, I was playing Nintendo 64. So, starting off in 96, we had Super Mario 64, Wave Race 64, Pilot Wings 64, Killer Instinct, Cruisin' USA. Then we got 007, GoldenEye, Star Fox 64, Diddy Kong Racing, Turok, and Mario Kart 64. Then going into 98, we got Zelda Ocarina of Time, Banjo-Kazooie, F-Zero X, Yoshi's Story, and Star Wars Rogue Squadron. And then 99, we got Pokemon Snap, Super Smash Bros., Donkey Kong 64, Mario Party, and Rayman 2. Then we go into the double zeros, aka 2000, turn of the millennia, century, whatever you want to call it. Zelda Majora's Mask, Perfect Dark, Kirby and the Crystal Shards, Banjo-Tooie, and Mario Tennis. And then finally we're going to round it out with 01. That's Paper Mario, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Pokemon Stadium, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, and Mario Party 3. So let's just kind of start from the very beginning, just kind of work our way down. So in 96, I don't think I was really playing video games then. If I was, it was like I wasn't absent, or like I couldn't remember if I did. So 96, you have arguably one of the most influential games of all time in Super Mario 64, and I'm just gonna be honest with you, nothing else in that category matters. I heard Wave Race 64 was kind of fun. I also heard the original Killer Instinct was good, but honestly, it's not my cup of tea. So I'm just gonna be honest, Super Mario 64 is carrying the weight of 96 right now. I mean, if we look at it in a sort of big picture way, it defined platforming as we know it today. It started, the big trend of a big world, and the controls were revolutionary. The music, oh my god, the music is still so good after all these years. The hidden secrets, the level design, the colors, the movement, and it's hard. Honestly, it's so interesting to see this list, because 96 really just kind of is propped up by the biggest fucking pillar in Super Mario 64. Now, obviously, I think Super Mario 64 is kind of timeless, because even after almost 20 years later, people are still playing it in like speed runs and races and stuff, because it's still that good of a game. To have a longevity of 20 years, it's hard to argue with Super Mario 64 not completely carrying Nintendo 64. So, me personally, I love Super Mario 64. It was one of my favorite games growing up, like most people. I think I've played it over a dozen times at this point, getting all the stars, red coins, blue coins, even the hidden Yoshi secret. I also believe like, oh, Luigi's here if you do this with X, this and that. So 96, I'm not gonna lie, while it is a weak year with all the other games, Super Mario 64 just reigns so loudly that it's hard for me to even say that it doesn't have impact. So Let's go into 97 next. So this one, we got some very big heavy hitters in Mario Kart 64, Diddy Kong Racing, honestly, Turok, Star Fox, GoldenEye. I mean, these are all really good games. I'll be honest, I was not a big fan of Mario Kart 64. I think it was probably one of my least favorite Mario Karts. I don't play a lot of them, but that was probably my least favorite. Now, Diddy Kong Racing, in my opinion, was way more fun. I think Diddy Kong Racing, honestly, is up there as one of the better ones, to be honest. So, and then obviously you have Star Fox 64, which I think you could make a case it's one of the best N64 games of all time, because it is honestly just that. It's just so much fun. And I actually, the more I think about it, you know, I think that the very opening of this game, in the first couple of missions, I think it starts off so strong, but it does get a little repetitive near the end. I don't think it kind of holds your attention all the way through. I still think it's really good, and that's not a knock, honestly. I just think, like, it doesn't have the evenness that a lot of the greats of Nintendo 64 have. So, I think Star Fox 64 is really, really good. It was one of my personal favorites. And anytime, I kid you not, anytime I would go to Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, Family Video, whatever, it was always taken out. Always. And I would get so mad because all I would want to do is play Star Fox 64, and I could never do it. And then obviously we have GoldenEye 007, which at the time I think it was a really, I don't want to say revolutionary, but it was definitely one of the best first-person shooters at the time. Personally, I went back and played this. It does not hold up. I'm just going to be very honest with everybody. I don't think it holds up. I think a lot of people have rose-colored glasses when it comes to this game, just because the controls suck so bad. It's not that it's not bad in that it's detrimental to, I think, what it started. It's bad in the sense that, like, it exists in that time. It's okay to, like, revisit for nostalgia purposes, but you can't continue to play it because it's just, you're not going to have a lot of fun. So personally, I think it's shown its age, and I think at the time it is a fantastic game. So, and then we have Turok, which honestly is one of the scarier games that's on the Nintendo 64, in my opinion. I used to be terrified of this as a kid. And it's one of the few games that, like, involves dinosaurs and horror, like Dino Crisis. So, I didn't play this one. I played Turok too, so I don't really have an opinion on this one. So, let's transition into 98. Let's just get this out of the way. Zelda Ocarina of Time, considered one of the best RPGs. It easily props up most of this system. Let's be honest, there was never a game like it. It was revolutionary. So let's just be quite frank here. Zelda Ocarina of Time sets the bar in this year. Banjo-Kazooie, also considered one of the best platformers of all time. A very honest moment here. I've never played Banjo-Kazooie. Funny thing is, I really did want to play it a lot growing up, but I just could never either get my hands on it, or I could never rent it, or whatever the case is. I could never find the game. So I've actually never played Banjo-Kazooie, which I know is like, sounds like a huge crime, and I've always wanted to. So maybe one day I'll revisit. F-Zero X, I'm not a racing guy, so for all you F-Zero fans out there, I know you love this one. I'm sorry. Yoshi's Story, I don't have an opinion about it, never played it. And then Star Wars Rogue Squadron, didn't have an opinion, never played it. Not a big fan of those flight-like simulator games. So, all right, 99. Now, I would say this is probably peak Yoshimitsu Kana year. Pokemon Snap. I fucking love Pokemon Snap, okay? It is an underrated gem on the Nintendo 64. All right, me and my family used to play this all the time. It is one of my favorite games personally because of the memories I have to it, but also because it's just so damn good. Like, I don't know how they came up with the loop of taking pictures of Pokemon and, like, you get extra items to get them to do different poses and you get points based on it. It honestly, underrated gem in my opinion, and I think it's one of those Nintendo 64 games that I think people should play if they're going to go back and play retro games. Obviously, it is a little dated in some of the technology and the controls, but it's still so much fun. It's a simplistic thing that can kind of be a little bit timeless. So, and then we got Super Smash Bros. I'll be honest, I love the original N64 Super Smash Bros. I think it's actually my favorite Smash. It's the one I played the most. Don't get me wrong, you got Melee, you got Ultimate. I just personally think this is my favorite just because I played it the most as a kid. Trying to figure out how to unlock Luigi, Ness, Jigglypuff, and Captain Falcon. It was so much fun because we didn't have the internet at the time, and we just kind of were guessing on how to unlock the characters. So personally, I think this is my favorite Smash Bros. Just because of nostalgia, and I'll be even the first to admit it to you guys. I think nostalgia is obviously playing a role in this, just because the Melee and Ultimate are just tiers above it. So that's just my opinion, though. But I think it's still one of the best. Donkey Kong 64. This is another one of those rose-tinted classic games. It does not hold up very well based on the controls. I tried playing this like a couple years ago, and I was not having fun. I was kind of just frustrated. I still like the concept of an open world Donkey Kong game. I think the idea of Donkey Kong 64 was Super Mario 64. I think it's a really great pairing. I just think the execution wasn't that great. I did love that you could change characters to like Lanky Kong, Diddy Kong, and all that stuff. So personally, I do like Donkey Kong 64 from a perspective of just like, oh, this is a neat idea, but I don't want to play it again. So that's that. And then Mario Party, I didn't play the first one. I played the second one, which is weirdly absent from this list. And then Rayman 2. I did not play Rayman 2. I only played the original, so I have no basis for that. But I did hear it was very good. So 99 has a very strong case as well for best lineup, in my opinion. All right, now we get to the turn of the century. Zelda Majora's Mask. I personally did not like this game growing up. Not necessarily for the reasons you might think. I wasn't really... I don't know. I couldn't really get into this one. I think it just wasn't for me at the time. Also, I kept getting stuck because I just didn't understand what to do. And I'll be honest, I think it's one of those ones I should probably revisit and play because I think I'd enjoy it a lot more. So, next we have Perfect Dark. Now, Perfect Dark, in my opinion, still holds up. I think it's light years ahead of 007. The missions, the multiplayer, the bots. I think it's honestly one of my favorite Nintendo 64 games because of how much time I spent just shooting the bots with my family. It's such a good game with the amount of cool weapons, the world building that it has, and like the manner and the guns, man. I just remember there was a gun where you could throw it on the wall and it became like its own little turret, and it was like an automated turret. The depth in which you could like swap your secondary of your gun. Oh man, it's such a great game. I think it's so underrated, and it's such a damn shame they canceled the new Perfect Dark game. I was really looking forward to that. I will never forgive you for that, Xbox. But Perfect Dark, I think, honestly carries 2000 in my opinion, just because it really is that damn good. It's hard to top a game like Perfect Dark in my opinion. So next we have Kirby and the Crystal Shards. Full disclosure, I've never really played a Kirby game. I've always wanted to. I think the only one I've actually played is probably Kirby Air Ride, and I didn't even really like that one. So, I don't know. Maybe Kirby's not for me. I don't really know. I would like to try this at some point, but it's just not on my radar. So, full disclosure there. Banjo-Tooie, again, never played it. I always did want to, but it's in the same as Banjo-Kazooie. I just never played it. So, Mario Tennis. Now, weirdly, I have played a lot of Mario Tennis on the original Nintendo 64. I don't think the game, honestly, is all that good. Because I went back and played it a little bit, and it's a good, like, tennis game. But, I don't know, there's just not a whole lot there to, like, do. So, I'll be honest, it was kind of like a puddle deep thing, but it was because I'd never played a tennis game before, and I loved Mario, so maybe that's why, but... Full disclosure, I don't really like this game much anymore, so I mean, there are better Mario sports games than this one. I just think it's fun because it was one of the first ones I played. So I do have a fondness for it. And don't get me wrong, it's not like it's a bad tennis game. It's still a good tennis game, but it lacks a little bit of depth. I'll just be honest. So next we're gonna hit finally 01, which has one of my favorite RPGs of all time in Paper Mario. Revolutionary game to me as a kid. I loved the turn-based combat system. I loved recruiting all the side characters. I loved to see what the next character I was going to get was. I loved the story. I loved each new like zone or biome you would go to collect the Elder Stars. The characters were fun. The writing was great. The animations were awesome. It was so creative. Being a little paper cutout of Mario and getting through situations is like a piece of paper. It would honestly, it's so unique. I absolutely adore this one. It's one of my top 3 favorite games on the Nintendo 64, and personally, it holds a very special place in my heart because I loved it that much. So, next we have Conker's Bad Fur Day. This is another one of those games where I did play it growing up, but I honestly don't have like a lot of fond memories with it. I remember playing a couple of the missions. My uncle really actually liked this game, and I would always watch him play it, or I'd like play it too. And for some reason, it just never resonated with me. I think maybe because I was just a kid at the time. I was like 8 at the time, so maybe it wasn't for me. I don't know. Personally, if I went back and played it, I don't think I would enjoy it that much. I think it's kind of in the same vein as like Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. It's just way more crass and a lot more adult, which is fine. I just remember there being this one level of it being like a poo tower, and even when I was 8, I was kind of grossed out. So I don't know. I think it's still a unique piece of Nintendo 64 history. I just don't think it's that great, in my opinion. So I don't know. Maybe that's controversial. Who knows? Maybe I'll go back and revisit it. I don't know. Next we have Pokemon Stadium 2. I never played Pokemon Stadium 2. However, I did play Pokemon Stadium 1, and that game was fucking awesome. So I have no opinion about Pokemon Stadium 2. I think maybe I played it or rented it like a couple of times, but Pokemon Stadium 1 had such a like mainstay in my mind that Pokemon Stadium 2 it didn't penetrate it. So I'll leave that one to the wayside. And then Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, I didn't play that on Nintendo 64. I played that on PlayStation. I personally didn't like 2 that very much. I really loved the first one and 3 a lot. So kind of an unpopular opinion, but I didn't really like Tony Hawk 2. So, and then Mario Party 3. Again, I don't know why they don't have Mario Party 2 on here. It's the best one in my opinion. But I did play Mario Party 3 a little bit when I would be able to rent it, and it was a fun game. Don't get me wrong, it was still fun. It just wasn't Mario Party 2. I don't think there's a Mario Party that's better than Mario Party 2. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know if that's controversial or not, but so let's wrap this all up in a nice bow. So it's a very tough category to pick a year. So if I'm going off pure nostalgia, and this is just me being personally biased, I think 99 was the best year just because of Pokemon Snap and Super Smash Bros. And Donkey Kong 64. 3 games I have fond memories of playing. However, if I have to be objective and kind of, give a sort of like, oh, this was the best year, it's probably between 97 and 98. Just because 97 had GoldenEye, Star Fox, and Diddy Kong Racing, and Mario Kart 64. 98 has Zelda, Banjo-Kazooie, F-Zero, and I think people like Yoshi's Story. I don't know. So, like, each of these have a game that's sort of like, like Squadron or Turok, which has a fan base. I'm not insulting you guys. I'm just letting you know. I just think that the heavy hitters in 98 outshine the hitters in 97. Like Star Fox 64 and 007, I don't think they have the power of longevity that 98 does. Like, people still talk about Zelda Ocarina of Time and Banjo-Kazooie as some of their favorite games of all time. You hear GoldenEye 007. You don't really hear that for Star Fox or Diddy Kong Racing, though. And I don't know a lot of people that say Mario Kart 64. So I think 98 is basically the winner here, and from an objective standpoint, from a nostalgia standpoint, and a personal opinion, it's between 2001 and 99 for me. Just because of Paper Mario, honestly, it's such a near and dear game to my heart that I think it honestly props up all the other games in the category. But 99 has 3 games that I actually really enjoyed. So I personally, I'm gonna go with 99, and then objectively, I think 98 had the best year from a standpoint. And I do want to just shout out 96 one more time. I think 96 obviously has one of the greatest platforms of all time, but every other game just it shouldn't even be in the category. So in terms of the weakest year, I'm gonna probably say 96, just because you only got Super Mario 64 in there. I think Super Mario 64 has enough power to, say who cares about those other games, but every other year has like a couple of games that were like heavy hitters. Whereas 96, I can really only see one. I mean, I know people love Wave Race 64, but do they love it more than like Perfect Dark or Star Fox 64 or Conker's Bad Fur Day? Like, I just have a hard time believing that. So that's sort of my take on this list. So I hope you guys enjoyed this type of video. Let me know if you want to see more content like this. Let me know what year you think is best. Do you agree with my opinion that 98 is the best, or do you think another year is the best? Also, I really would like to know, do you guys think 007 holds up? I personally don't think so. So I'm curious to know what your comments are on that specific game. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, whatever the little bell thing is, it doesn't matter to me. I just hope you guys have a wonderful day, night, whatever time you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.